Hey there. So picture this. You're a Roman tourist in the 2nd century AD, a lover of ancient history, and you've booked a boat trip off the coast of Greece to see one of the most famous sunken cities in the ancient world. As your guide points down into the clear, blue-green water, you lean over the side, squinting. And there it is, the ruins of a once great metropolis, preserved beneath the waves. But it's not Atlantis. It's a city that was real, powerful, and utterly wiped off the map in a single, terrifying night. And for centuries, everyone knew exactly where it was. They could row a boat right over it and see the outlines of its walls. And then it vanished again, not from the sea, but from human memory. Welcome, I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Curiosity Compendium. Today, we're diving into a story that feels like myth but is etched in the hard stone of geology and history. The lost city of Helike. Helike was no backwater. In its prime, around the 4th century BC, it was the capital of the Achaean League, a powerful confederation of Greek city-states. It was a major economic and religious hub, famous for its sanctuary of Poseidon, the god of the sea and earthquakes. The city was so influential it even founded colonies, and its coinage, stamped with the image of Poseidon's trident, was respected across the Mediterranean. It sat on a narrow coastal plain, nestled between mountains and the Gulf of Corinth, a prosperous, vibrant place. And then, in the winter of 373 BC, it was gone. The ancient accounts are chillingly consistent. The Greek writer Pausanias, compiling his guidebook centuries later, recorded the events. For 5 days, he writes, animals, mice, snakes, weasels, fled the city, heading for the hills. The citizens, baffled, didn't take the hint. Then, on a fateful winter night, a huge fire appeared, and the ground shook with a massive earthquake. The city's buildings crumbled, but the horror wasn't over. The land itself, shaken loose, began to liquefy. And then, from the Gulf, a colossal wave rushed in, a tsunami. It swept over the ruins, dragging every shattered piece of Helike and every person who hadn't escaped into the sea. By morning, where a proud city had stood, there was only water. 10 Spartan ships anchored in the harbor were also destroyed, adding a grim footnote. The city of Poseidon had been utterly annihilated by the very forces the god controlled. The story became a cautionary tale, a historical memento mori for the ancient world. Writers like Strabo and Ovid referenced it. For centuries, as I mentioned, the ruins were a known underwater attraction. And then, the silt of the rivers flowing into the Gulf, along with a gradual shifting of the coastline, buried the site. The sea, which had swallowed Helike in a night, now hid it completely. Its exact location faded into legend, becoming another archaeological ghost story. This is where the story really hooks me, personally. As an engineer, I'm fascinated by systems, how things are built, how forces interact, and ultimately, how they can fail. And Helike is a catastrophic system failure of geology, urban planning, and human interpretation. The people saw the animals fleeing. They had the data, but they lacked the model to understand it. We now know that strange animal behavior can precede seismic events, possibly due to sensing subtle changes in groundwater or electromagnetic fields. To them, it was an oddity. To us, it's a terrifying clue. For over 2,000 years, Helike was a story. Then, in the 1980s and 90s, a determined Greek archaeologist, Dora Katsonopoula, took up the hunt. She and her team didn't just look underwater. They re-examined the geological clues. They realized the coastline had changed dramatically. Using ancient texts as a guide, but listening to the land itself, they began to dig on what is now a flat, agricultural plain inland from the modern shore. And they found it, not under the sea, but buried under layers of silt and clay. They uncovered the remains of classical Helike, building foundations, pottery, coins, a bronze coin with Poseidon's trident still clear. They found evidence of a Roman-era settlement built directly on top of the ruins, proving the site's memory lingered. Most strikingly, they found seashells and marine deposits mixed with the shattered architecture, the literal fingerprint of that tsunami, surging inland. The geology confirmed the history. A powerful earthquake, likely causing soil liquefaction where the solid ground turned to a fluid slurry, followed by a tsunami from the Gulf. It wasn't a myth. It was a forensic report. So what really happened that night? Modern tectonics gives us the script. The Gulf of Corinth is a massive geological rift where Europe is slowly pulling away from the Aegean microplate. It's one of the most seismically active places in Europe. The earthquake probably struck on a fault line running right beneath the city. The shaking triggered liquefaction in the water-saturated soil of the coastal plain. The land literally turned to soup, swallowing foundations. Minutes later, the sea, displaced by underwater landslides or the fault movement itself, roared back in to fill the space. Helike didn't just fall down. It was shaken apart, swallowed, and then drowned. There's a profound and haunting lesson in Helike's story, one that resonates with me as someone who builds things in the modern world. It's about the arrogance of place. The citizens of Helike built a magnificent city dedicated to Poseidon, believing they had his favor. They built on a known seismic zone, a coastal plain, likely unaware of the liquefaction risk. They saw the warning signs and rationalized them away. Their tragedy became a story we told for centuries about divine wrath. But today, we can strip away the mythology and see the stark, geophysical truth. It was a natural disaster waiting to happen. It makes me wonder about our own modern cities, about the foundations we pour on reclaimed land, in floodplains, along fault lines. What are the warnings we're seeing but not yet understanding? Helike challenges us to listen more carefully to the earth, to respect its systems with humility, and to remember that the ground beneath our feet is not always as solid as it seems. The lost city of Helike is a powerful reminder that history and science are not separate books, but different chapters of the same story. It was a real place, with real people, who experienced a disaster so complete it became legend. And then, through patience and science, it became real to us again. It's a testament to human curiosity, the drive to find, to understand, and to piece together the puzzles of our past, no matter how deeply they're buried. Thank you for joining me for this first dive into the Curiosity Compendium. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share the podcast with a fellow curious mind. For more from me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and the team, you can visit our producers at Light Knot Studios at lightknotstudios.com. Until next time, stay curious.